Hi, and welcome to today's episode of the Successful Franchisee's Beautiful View, where I have a conversation with my friend and colleague, Scott MacMeans, who owns Successful Balanced Life Performance. He is invested in an ActionCOACH franchise. He's located in the northeast part of Ohio. So if you happen to be up there and you're needing an executive business coach to help you break through the logjam or work through some issues you've had to grow your business, make sure that you check the information in the comments after the conversation and get a hold of Scott. Let's get to it. Hi, and welcome to this episode of the Successful Franchisee's Beautiful View. And today I am honored to be joined by Scott MacMeans of Successful. We're going to start that over again.
Okay.
I was going to say I had successful business in my mind because we were just talking business.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Successful balanced life. Okay.
Yep.
Hi, and welcome to today's episode of the Successful Franchisee's Beautiful View. And I am honored to be joined by Scott MacMeans, who owns Successful Balanced Life Performance, powered by ActionCOACH. And we're going to talk all things about what he does in the Northeast Ohio area. And Scott, welcome to today's episode.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate the opportunity to tell my story and really reach people that I haven't talked to before. So I appreciate the opportunity.
Well, I've appreciated our conversations the last couple of weeks, and
Yeah.
so I wanted to get you on so everybody else could hear you too. So tell me what the main focus of SBL Performance and your mission in guiding business owners.
Great question. And I would say the thing that I'm looking forward to is I call it the Romeo and Juliet light upon yonder window moment. Like, wow, that's what happened, right? The light upon yonder window happens when people realize that business isn't as hard as they made it out to be. And through the guidance of working with me, they get a chance to see just how realistic their dreams can be. So my mission, my vision, what I try to do with people is let's find a dream that you want to have and let's build you a business that is a commercial, profitable enterprise that works without you being there every day. So you can live that successful, balanced life you always thought you wanted to have. And I put it this way, Luke, nobody goes to the bank and takes out money to get a job, right? But most successful business owners have to go through the trials and tribulations of figuring out how to run their business. What I like to do is be that passionate yet dispassionate friend to come in and tell them the things they need to hear, not what they want to hear, to help them guide themselves through the landmines and the rigors of being a business owner so they can actually have the business that they want. And it's so simple to do. I know it's not easy to run a business, but it's easier than people give it credit for. And what I want to do is give people that light, that opportunity to see what's possible. And while working with me, we build these amazing businesses that can flourish in any market because it's founded on very sound business practices. It's build you a foundation and build up from there. So yeah, that's what I like to do.
Outstanding. Thank you for sharing that. And what type of person are you most successful working with?
It's a great question. The people that have jettisoned their ego and allowed humility into their world so they can recognize that I can't go this alone, but they're smart enough to know what they don't know. Those are the perfect candidate to work with because their ambition and their drive keeps them going forward, but they're not necessarily hanging onto an albatross or an anchor that keeps them right where they are. They know they need to go somewhere. And whatever struggle they've had is because their ego says, I can do this alone. And what we've recognized is you get so much better results when you work with somebody, not because I'm better than anybody else, but together, your ability to know your market and your industry and my ability to help you frame out a business structure and process and give you the right mindset to build a better business, that now becomes this unbelievable formidable force that can accomplish anything. And so when I work with somebody, it's more along the lines of how do we change their mind set towards what's going on, as opposed to giving them all these different skill sets. And look, that's not to say that we're not educating people. What we love to do is give people a business education that they can use forever. If it's this business or multiple businesses, the practices and principles that we instill in people will always transfer from one business to the next. What we love to do is give people the right mindset so they can accomplish all the things they wanted to. And this is really about ownership of the situation, accountability to what you do every day, and the responsibility to the outcomes that come out of it. That's where we get people to really change their mind and really get to be a better business owner because they're making good decisions based off who they are as a person, as opposed to what they wanted to be as a boss. And that's what we do.
I think I heard you mention mindset about 3 times in that
It's a big thing.
in that thing.
No, it's a big
So
thing.
tell me more about that. What are you helping business owners understand, and what type of mindset shifts have you seen in your practice?
Yeah, that's really good. People really are interested in getting help, and that's like I said, that's a client I really love to work with. What I find is once we dive into situations and I hold the mirror up and I ask questions like, well, why do you think that happened? Explain that to me. Well, what was the result and what was the outcome? Like as we go down the path and there's constant questions, it's not that I'm being difficult. It's because of I'm being inquisitive because I genuinely want to know why did you make that decision? And once I can pull information out of the owner and I realize this is where their head was when they made that decision, I can shine the mirror on them and say, well, you do know the decision that was made was yours and yours only. And the way you approach your team or the way you approach your market or the way you approach a client, those are your responsibilities. And because you are thinking differently than what a really sound business leader should be thinking, the onus, the opportunity is all on you. And when you have an employee, it's what you're willing to work with and what you allow that person to do versus what you end up for and say, this is what my business is supposed to be, and what you're doing is part of that. So the own mindset of I own this situation. I'm accountable for my actions and responsible for the outcomes. Once you step into that light, Luke, you have a very different mindset towards everything that happens in your world. If you're standing in a meeting and the team isn't necessarily getting anything out of what you're trying to tell them, it's not that they're stupid. It's because the way you're communicating doesn't work. And you, as the owner, not of the business, but owner of yourself and the space that you take up, you have to own that in such a way that you change, communicate, because what you're getting out of it isn't what you wanted. It's all on you. You're the one that's responsible for that. So once we get people to change that, it's unbelievable. Again, I go back to the Romeo and Juliet light upon yonder window break moment where like, oh, yeah, you're right. That quote unquote Steve is a bad employee because I allowed him to be a bad employee. Or this decision was bad because I made it without the right amount of data. So the responsibility has to be on them. And once people get that recognition, it's a lot better off.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great. What types, what industries or sectors of businesses
Yeah.
is your training and your coaching most accepted in?
No, that's a really good question. The way that Action Coach does it, and this is what I love about Brad Sugars and the way he philosophically put this business together, he'll openly say, I don't know anything about your market necessarily or the industry that you're in. So I'm going to rely on you to tell me that. What I'm really good at is understanding the practices and principles of a good, solid business and how it runs, whether it's from the team members that you have, the process and systems that you use, how you market. That's what I can help you out with. But when we bring your individual market data and knowledge together with what I can do to help you build a better business, we have this unbelievable, formidable force that now can take on anything. So that's the general agnostic terminology I use, right? That's what I do. To answer your question, as far as what I like to do, I am very comfortable in the world of customer service. Matter of fact, I would say 75% of my clientele are in the service industry. What I mean by that is I've got people that are doctors, lawyers, architect, customer or franchisees. I've got people that do pest control, bunch of different things, auto mechanics, HVAC, trying to go down the list. And what I've found in common is I really love to instill this ultimate customer experience philosophy where you are separated in the marketplace because you bring a different experience to the customer. And it's not necessarily the widget that you sell or the good that you're trying to peddle. It's because of the experience of the service level that they get that allows people to want to come back and work with you again. And that's a hard thing to master, being honest with you, because we get so accustomed to click online, buy it, and it gets shipped. There's very little customer service. But what we have found is when you are actively involved in the customer experience from the beginning, middle, and end of any purchase, people will lovingly come back to you. And that's what I love to instill is this service part of things.
Well, and you brought up ActionCOACH. How did you become partnered with ActionCOACH as a franchisee?
No, it's a great, interesting story. I was looking for my next opportunity, clicked on a link, filled out an application, and started the process with the recruiting of becoming a coach for a different franchise location. And what we discovered with my master franchisee and the people I work with, I'd be much better as an owner of a firm as opposed to being an individual contributor. So we put together the plan. I did go to the bank and get some money and started this. And it'll be 3 years in November that I started my process with them. And it's been nothing but excitement, and I love every minute of it because every day is just different. Like I said, I've got so many different clientele from Monday to Friday. Every time I meet with the same person, it's different. Let alone think about how many different industries I touch into and the challenges they're all facing. It's interesting to go through my day because it's never the same day once or twice. It's always a unique day.
Mm-hmm. And you said you work with franchisees. What in particular, how do you, because people think when they get into franchising, man, the franchisor is going to give me all the training and everything I need to be successful as a business owner franchisee. So how do you fit into that picture, Scott?
Well, it's a great piece because there's different ways that I work with a franchise. I think about it first off, the mindset piece is how do you become a manager? How do you become a leader? How do you become an owner? There are three very different distinguishing factors of running a business. So what I want to do is give people the opportunity to become that owner, the leader that they should be, because they bought a business or they bought a franchise doesn't necessarily mean they know everything that it is to run a business. They may be very good technically on one aspect of that franchise, but they don't know accounting. They don't know marketing. They don't know team building. So those kind of things come and go, but it's all about the mindset piece of becoming an owner and getting rid of that imposter syndrome, getting rid of the skepticism and negativity that can come with the ups and downs of being a business owner. And franchises do a really nice job of instilling the systems to make things happen. Well, what I like to do, other than the mindset piece, is really talk to somebody about, all right, you have this great system, but do you understand marketing? Well, they might be able to help you with their marketing, sure. But how do you talk to a lead? How do you talk to somebody? How do you become a customer service guru? Those things that aren't necessarily written in a binder that you need to have as soft skills. So how do you do that? And the other thing I really work on is now that we have this amazing system, who are you going to hire? Right? How are you going to bring the right people on board? Years ago was let's make sure the right people are on your bus, right? And then it went to, oh, let's make sure the right people are on the right bus, but also in the right seat. And now what we're discovering is it's a very important piece to know we have the right people on the right bus, or we have the right people on the bus. They're sitting in the right seat, but are they really good at what they do? Or do you just put them in there because they said the right thing at the time? So what we want to do is get people on the bus that really drive you into success. So there's a whole different cascade of how people should be working for a franchise. Despite the fact you're given the blueprint to run a franchise, you weren't given the instruction manual how to hire, how to fire, and how to bring people together as a team. So those are the things I really work on with franchisees. It's been great because they have this system that they work with, but now they're becoming a business owner. And what I like about it is once they now have one franchise, we start scaling. And what happens when you scale a business? Well, you buy another location or you expand your territory, whatever the case may be, but there's always growth. And that's what makes franchises so much better than starting your own is you're starting on first base, right? You have a lot of headway and you're moving forward because you have this system. What I try to do is just fill in the gaps.
Yeah, no, exactly. And being a franchisee myself, the more people that you can keep with you longer and retain without having to retrain and rehire and doing all that other stuff, that's a huge piece of
Yeah.
business ownership. I'm going to shift
Well,
gears just a little bit. Go ahead.
well, I was going to say, because what I find interesting, you could find the best franchise. Like, best example I can give for a great collection of vision, mission, and culture is a Chick-fil-A, right? You have to have a really good spirit. You have to have they only allow people to buy into their business because of their vision and mission and the culture within that Chick-fil-A. There's no doubt you have to hire the right people. Well, let's just say you're going to buy a franchise of, I don't know, pest control. Do you have that you can build, or do you have to create one? So it's not necessarily always turnkey. You have to fill in the and find ways to take up the voids where you're not told what to do, but you have to figure out what to do. And what I really am a big fan of is creating a vision and mission for your business that'll attract the right people to you that want to work with you, and attract the right people to that want to buy from you. Because most people really love the why behind what you do. And if you're not overtly telling people, they'll not know why you're there, and they probably will pass you over. So one of the things I like to talk to people about is, what's your vision? What's your mission? What are the values and culture you have in your business? And it's okay that you're a franchise, but don't dismiss one of the most important parts of starting a business, because if you don't establish those things, well, then what do you stand on? Right. And I think it's a powerful thing to stand on something. And you can say what you want about Chick-fil-A. They're open 6 days a week, and they outproduce every other franchise model in the country for fast food. They're just dynamic. So why not follow their role?
No, absolutely. And just to shift gears a little bit, earlier in the week, you and I were talking, and you brought up the term perturbation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell me more about that, please. I need to learn.
No, perturbation is a great concept. Perturbation is a state of change, or when something changes state. And the best example I can give out of this is taking one step further to get to your goal. And before you actually realize, I'm going to give up, I'm done, I can't go any further. The perturbation is realizing, if I add one more piece of pressure, or I add one more step to my operations, if I do one more thing, wow, I just broke through and it happened. Oh my gosh. Perturbation is going from negative to positive. It's going from a state of feeling insecure or feeling like a failure, one more thing, and it happens. So perturbation is really fighting through the diligence and discipline it takes to go from where you are to where you want to go. Really good example of it is what happens to water at 211 degrees Fahrenheit. Most people, oh, it boils. No, water boils at 212 degrees Fahrenheit. So at 211, it's simply water. But you add that one more degree of temperature, that one more degree of pressure, and you come out the other side, state change. So what I like to push people through, there's always going to be a time where somebody that you're working with doesn't want to go anymore. They're tired, they're exhausted. I can't do this. And you have to find a way to get them through. And that's what perturbation is, getting through to the other side, push one more degree of effort.
Yep.
That makes sense?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Thank you very much. I love
Yeah.
the learning. And the buffalo in your logo. Explain the buffalo, please.
Speaking of perturbation, I was going down a rabbit hole of rabbit holes on Google, finding different ways to explain a story or explain what perturbation meant. So I was doing all these different Google searches, and I came across, believe it or not, a Joe Rogan Experience podcast. And there was a gentleman telling Joe Rogan the story. Do you know the difference between a buffalo and a cow? And it just mesmerized me. So I ran to it. So the story goes, a buffalo and a cow both know a storm is approaching. They can feel it, they can sense it. A cow will do everything it can to run from the storm. No matter how far it runs, no matter how fast the storm is approaching and overtaking it, a cow will just want to get away from it. And eventually they collapse, they rest, and they let the storm just beat them to hell. So as the storm is coming over them, they're just living in this dreary, miserable state. And when the storm finally passes, they're so young, so tired that they can't really enjoy the abundance of green grass, the wonders of the water that have been delivered by the storm, and they're just miserable. The difference now, thinking about a buffalo will turn, knowing through my size, my strength, and my speed, if I run right into that storm, I can get through it faster. So a buffalo will and run right into the storm, hit it head on, and by the time it gets through half, it knows all I have to do is keep going. And once it gets through the other side, it's strong, it's powerful, and it gets a chance to be with the rest of the herd and enjoy the beautiful grass and the abundance of water that brought from the rain and the storm. So my logo is a buffalo to remind people, be a buffalo, charge the storm. Let's meet our issues and challenges head on, because on the other side is where the fun and prosperity is.
Love the visual. Thank
Thank
you
you,
for
man.
sharing.
No,
What
that's
haven't
cool.
I
Thank you.
asked you? What haven't I asked you that you want folks to know?
Oh, well, how to get in touch with me. So you can go to be the buffalo-chargestorm.com. It'll take you to my website. You get to learn all the different wonderful things that we do. If you're interested in working with me and want to know what it's like, I will tell you firsthand, I'm awesome to work with because I'm really passionate about what I do. And my mission is to make you the most successful person you could possibly be. So yeah, that's what I'm interested in. All tongue in cheek aside, I think what I want, your goals are yours, and individuals are something that you should pursue at every effort you possibly can. Working with somebody as your confidant, as your fractionship partner, somebody that can be by your side and help you make the decisions, help you think differently than you ever thought before. That's where you're going to find success, not only faster, but more rewarding than you ever thought, because it involves more than just one thing. It's an encompassing practice that we immerse you in an experience that allows you to see the forest through the trees.
Thank you so much, Scott. I
Oh
appreciate
my
you
God, thank you.
joining me today. And again, I'll have Scott's contact information in the comments below the video. And thank you all for watching this episode of the Successful Franchisee's Beautiful View. Stay safe and win every day.
Thanks, Luke. I appreciate the time.